Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry it's been so long since I've posted a video. I actually did record one which I was meant to edit over Christmas, but it was Christmas, I was away and spending time with my family, so I couldn't actually get around to doing it, so I'm really sorry. But here I am, and I'm hoping to get onto more of a schedule, but I haven't started my new job yet as an assistant psychologist. Things are still kind of processing in terms of like my references and DBS. It takes bloody ages, guys. Yeah, I need to get into a schedule before I start actually working there, because if I don't, then I don't know how I'll be able to balance everything. But you know, let's get into the video. Today I've got a helpful one, I hope. Like my other ones, I always hope that they're going to help someone, but today, as you can see from the title, I'm going to be going through very briefly the jobs you can do in preparation for getting that assistant psychologist job, or maybe you might do it alongside your assistant psychologist role if your post is part-time rather than full-time. I'm going to go through the ones that I have personally done myself first, just because why not? So the first role that I want to talk about is volunteering as a befriender. So I did this for the Alzheimer's Society, and I think they might have changed the name now of the role, but essentially what you did was you went round to a service user's house. This person would have early stage dementia, and you would have to simply interact with them and come up with an activity that you both enjoyed and could do together. And this was just so that they wouldn't feel isolated and still felt like they could socialise even though they had this new diagnosis. Another role that you could look into is a personal assistant for someone with a learning disability or someone with a mental health need, and I did this with a young lady who had Down syndrome. I love this job. I mean, I did it for 2 and a bit years, and I'm still in contact with the girl now because I just absolutely love her, and we're such good friends now. It's kind of a weird job to have because you essentially are their friend, and you just need to help them maintain that sense of independence and be a supportive person for them. Obviously, you're not completely their friends. Firstly, you're being paid, and also your job is to mainly keep them safe. It's kind of being able to assess risk associated with what they want to do and trying to make things happen for them that they really want to complete in their lives. Another role that I have done is as an applied behavioural analyst tutor. Most people know it as an ABA tutor, and I did it in a home programme, and with this you work with someone who has autism. Usually their autism will be quite severe, as ABA is for people who have challenging behaviour, so that is a big part of the role, and you are supported by senior members who come up with the plan and the therapy package in a way, and your job is to perform that therapeutic guideline. And there are certain targets which you have to achieve, there are certain goals which the person needs to work on in a way. So one of the goals that we had was doing a zip and undoing buttons, and so that was part of the therapy sessions, but it's also fun, so sometimes we'll play musical statues as one of the activities. You could also work as a healthcare assistant. I personally worked in a dementia specialist care home, which obviously really helped for me getting this current position, as it is a dementia post as well. I really like this. Again, I loved all the posts that I've done. I really like working with people and helping people. That is just what I have personally been called to do. So no matter what service I've been in, I've really enjoyed it because I'm always helping someone. And I really like old people. I find them very interesting, and I love gaining from their wisdom. Working as a healthcare assistant in a care home setting is definitely something I would recommend. You could also work as a healthcare assistant in a prison and also in a residential home for people with learning disabilities, if that's more what you are interested in. You could also work as a play worker. So I worked as a play worker for a group who did after school play sessions for children with learning disabilities of all levels, but generally these were the children who were rejected from services created by the council and from more mainstream, I guess, play services for people with learning disabilities. Which sounds weird, doesn't it? Because you wouldn't think there's like a mainstream kind of thing for people with learning disabilities, but there are some children aren't allowed to participate in some activities because either their challenging behaviour is too severe, or maybe they don't have enough of the criteria. So this organisation really focused on the children who were rejected from other services, and my job there was to facilitate play, and so help with the communication between the children, and also set up activities that were appropriate for all of the levels that were there, that attended. Now moving on to things that I haven't done but would be really good experience. So you could work as a mental health support worker. One of my uni friends does this now, and she works in a residential home, and it's for people who are recovering from mental health issues, and it's just looking after them, seeing if there's any risks and helping them gain their independence again, really. You could also work as a recovery worker, and this is again a supportive role where you need to catch up with the person, see if there are any risks that have been identified in their current lives that could pose a threat to their recovery, and just help track their progress in that way. You could also work as a research assistant, because part of the clinical doctorate is research, so any research experience now will obviously be of help. The assistant psychologist roles, they're not going to frown upon you having research assistant roles, if you know what I mean. It will help because that is a skill that you need for the doctorate, so it all kind of links up together. Personally, I've never done that, and I'm not too interested at the moment in doing research, but we'll see if that changes. You could also work as a teaching assistant in a specialist school, so maybe a school that specialises in educating children with autism, or even in a mainstream school as a TA there for people who have mild learning disabilities. You could also work as a youth support worker, but for this it is quite difficult because there is a law of some kind, don't quote me on this, but you need to be a certain amount of years older than the eldest child in the care. So if the child is 18, for example, then you might need to be 5 years older, or maybe, I don't know, just double check. But again, supportive role to make sure that they are safe and can be independent, you know, and help them work through whatever challenges they're facing. You could volunteer at a homeless shelter. This one's a bit more out of the box. You could even try and work at a homeless shelter. But here you're going to come across many people who are struggling with addiction, mental health issues, which is very valuable experience for you going on to an assistant psychologist post. This might be more readily available, I would say, because it's not a typical clinical role. I would look into it, because I think you could say a lot about working for people who don't have a home. And finally, just any work within the NHS. Now I'm talking about being a receptionist, being a healthcare assistant, being, I don't even know what else you could be in the NHS, but there are loads and loads of jobs which you could potentially be. You could even work in information governance. I know a girl who used to do that actually. I did my placement with her, and then she went on the year after to be the information and governance person within the same trust. Even if it's not a clinical role, you're still going to gain the experience of what it means to be part of the NHS. You are going to understand the issues with funding, the stepped care model, and all of the various factors which make the NHS so great, but also see its weaknesses and the struggles that NHS workers do face on a day-to-day basis, and the unfortunate uncertainty in the future of the NHS currently. Any work within the NHS, I would say, if you can get it, try to get it. Well, there we go, guys. That is all that I can think of for now. I hope that some of these jobs help you or take your fancy, because it might take you a while to get an assistant psychologist post and get onto the doctorate. So you might have had a 1-year post as an assistant and now find yourself kind of twiddling your thumbs waiting for the next one. So rather than waiting, maybe try and get some other work and kind of build your CV in a different way, because any experience is valuable, guys. Trust me, like, I learnt so much from my ABA tutor role. I gained so much more varied experience there. I gained a lot of skills in independent working, in dealing with challenging behaviour, and being able to conduct therapy sessions, essentially. Every job that you do, even if it doesn't have the title of assistant psychologist, it is going to help you build your skill set. Now, within all of these jobs, the main things that you're going to gain is that hands-on experience with a service user or patient. You're going to gain the skills of learning about safeguarding, which is a big deal. You're also going to learn about the way in which you care for people and the way you are compassionate towards people, which obviously was included in one of my interviews. They asked me how I provide the best care possible. which you're only going to gain from roles like working in a care home and the roles that are really, really up close and personal to the services and patients. I think that's all I've got to say, guys. I really hope that this is helpful for you and that you can really use your time wisely this year so that you can get that assistant psychologist job and get onto the doctorate one day. Please like it if you like the video and subscribe. I really want to hit 100 subscribers because that would be pretty cool. It means that I will be more motivated to make more videos that could help others get an assistant psychologist job. I'd really appreciate if you subscribed, guys. So until next time, I'll see you later.